When did you last read the back of your tortilla package? Most people never do. And that's exactly what these brands are counting on. Because inside most flour tortillas sitting in American refrigerators right now, there's a dough conditioner made from certain animal-derived components or other unexpected sources.
There's wood pulp used as a texture filler.
And the tortilla sold specifically to diabetics as the clean, healthy choice has over 20 ingredients.
More than any standard product on this list. 7 brands investigated, 5 to avoid, 2 that actually kept it clean.
The worst one is probably already in your kitchen. Let's start there.
Number 5, Azteca tortillas. The one Midwest families have trusted for 50 years without ever being given a reason to look closer.
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Azteca has been on regional grocery shelves since 1970.
For a lot of households in those states, it was the tortilla.
The one that was there before Mission reached every corner of every store.
The loyalty built slowly across generations of weekly shopping trips.
Until the name stopped being a choice and became a reflex, something you grabbed without thinking. Because your parents grabbed it before you. It felt local. It felt chosen. Different from the faceless national commodity brands everyone else was buying. That feeling of being different is the entire trust foundation. And it's never once required Azteca to explain what's actually in the package. The familiarity of the name was always enough. So here's what the label actually says. Azteca flour tortillas lead with enriched bleached flour. That's flour that was chemically stripped of its natural properties during processing. Then synthetically restored with added vitamins after the fact. Because the stripping removed what made it nutritious in the first place. The bleaching is cosmetic. It makes lower-grade flour look whiter and more appealing on the shelf.
It doesn't improve the nutrition. It doesn't improve the tortilla. Then there's L-Cysteine, a dough conditioner that loosens gluten structure. So lower quality flour can be pressed, stretched, and shaped at industrial speed without tearing.
In commercial food production, L-Cysteine is derived from duck feathers or dissolved human hair.
The label just said L-Cysteine. The source is never disclosed.
No disclosure is legally required. That's not what most shoppers picture when they're making dinner.
Calcium propionate follows, a mold inhibitor that keeps the tortilla shelf stable for 30 days at room temperature.
Real flour, water, and fat can't do that.
Real bread made from those same ingredients develops mold within days.
A real tortilla behaves the same way. The calcium propionate is doing the preservation work.
The actual food ingredients simply can't perform.
Here's the part worth sitting with. the regional brand Midwest families specifically chose.
As their local alternative to national commodity products, runs the exact same dough conditioning chemistry.
And the exact same mold inhibition chemistry as every national commodity brand on this list. There is no meaningful ingredient distinction between Azteca and the brands it was supposed to be the alternative to.
The local feel was always in the marketing. It was never in the ingredients.
50 years on the shelf, the ingredient list has never once justified that level of trust. Number 4. Store brand tortillas. The one nobody examines because it never claimed to be anything worth examining. Great value at Walmart. Kroger house label. Public store brand.
No heritage story, no cultural identity, no grandmother's recipe on the front panel.
Just a white bag, plain text, and a price that undercuts every name-it brand in the aisle.
That complete absence of identity is exactly why it never gets looked at. Enriched bleached flour leads the ingredient list. L-Cysteine is present.
Calcium propionate is present. Cellulose, wood pulp fiber added as a texture modifier, is present.
The 30-day shelf life is there, delivered by the same industrial preservation chemistry.
Running through every named brand in this investigation.
The formula is functionally identical to Mission in every meaningful ingredient category.
Calcium propionate is present. Cellulose, wood pulp fiber added as a texture modifier, is present. The named brand spent decades and significant money building identities. Cultural authority, regional loyalty, health positioning.
That let them charge considerably more for what is, at the ingredient level, a commodity formula.
The store brand sells the same formula without any of that identity investment at a lower margin for less money. A family buying great value because the grocery budget demands the cheapest option isn't getting a meaningfully worse product.
Then the family buying Mission. They're getting the same industrial formula.
Just without paying for the advertising and marketing infrastructure surrounding the Mission name.
The difference between Great Value and Mission is marketing spend, not ingredient integrity, not production quality, not sourcing standards.
Neither one is a tortilla in the original sense of that word.
And that's worth knowing before you reach for either of them.
We put together something for people who just want the answer without the research.
The Grocery and Household Cheat Sheet. 250 brands, 40 categories, every aisle covered.
If that sounds useful, links in the description.
Number 3. Old El Paso. The one that didn't just sell you a tortilla, it sold your whole family a weekly ritual.
Taco Tuesday belongs to Old El Paso more than any other brand in American food culture.
The yellow box, hard shells on one side, soft flour tortillas on the other. Seasoning packet in the middle, and the promise that dinner is completely handled. The kids are happy, the week has a reliable anchor. No thinking required.
Old El Paso didn't just sell a food product,
It sold a family institution.
And it delivered that institution to every supermarket in the country at a price that made it feel automatic.
That cultural achievement is genuinely real. What's inside the box is a different conversation. Start with the seasoning packet, the one your family pours into the ground beef every Tuesday without a second thought. It contains maltodextrin, a highly processed starch derived from corn, wheat, or rice.
Used as a flavoring carrier and texture agent. Its glycemic index is higher than table sugar,
meaning it raises blood sugar faster than sugar itself.
That same packet also contains silicon dioxide, an anti-caking agent that stops the powder from clumping.
Silicon dioxide is also the primary compound in sand. The label says silicon dioxide.
The more recognizable name doesn't appear anywhere on the box. That's not what most families picture when they're seasoning dinner.
Now the soft flour tortillas in the kit, they contain calcium propionate.
Research published in the Journal of Pediatrics and Child Health identified associations between calcium propionate and behavioral changes in children, including irritability and restlessness.
That research is not conclusive, and it's important to say that clearly. But it's significant enough that multiple countries have placed specific restrictions on calcium propionate. In food products marketed to children, Old El Paso markets its taco kits directly and explicitly at families with young children.
Now the soft flour tortillas in the kit, they contain calcium propionate. The mold inhibitor that research has flagged for potential behavioral concerns in children is in the soft tortillas.
Those children eat from the kit every single week.
That's the part that matters when you're a parent choosing what to put on the table.
L-Cysteine is in the flour tortillas, and the hard shells are fried in vegetable oil containing TBHQ.
A petroleum-derived preservative that has appeared in multiple fast food product investigations.
One yellow box, sand in the seasoning, a mold inhibitor connected to children's behavioral research in the soft tortillas.
A petroleum-derived preservative in the hard shells. And one more thing that doesn't appear anywhere on the packaging.
Old El Paso is owned by General Mills, the same corporation behind Cascadian Farm organic frozen vegetables.
Cocoa Puffs and fruit roll-ups. The kit that made Taco Tuesday feel like a warm family tradition.
Is a General Mills commodity product engineered to hit specific production cost targets and maximize retail shelf life.
The weekly ritual felt personal. The company that designed it was solving a very different problem.
Now let's keep going because the next two brands are where it gets more personal.
Number 2, Guerrero tortillas.
The one whose entire identity is built around being closest to where the tortilla actually came from. Walk into a grocery store serving a Hispanic community and find the tortilla aisle. Guerrero will be at the center of it. The name, the packaging, the placement.
All of it signals closeness to the original, the kind of tortilla a grandmother in Michoacán would recognize.
The kind that belongs on a family table where the food has always been made the right way.
That positioning is completely deliberate, and it's doing a very specific job for the company operating behind it.
Guerrero is owned by Gruma, the largest tortilla corporation on the planet.
Over 12 million tortillas produced every single day across manufacturing facilities on multiple continents. A publicly traded company running at full industrial commodity scale, optimizing for efficiency, cost, and output volume. The family kitchen identity and the 12 million per day industrial reality share the same label.
That gap is the entire story.
Guerrero flour tortillas contain L-Cysteine, the dough conditioner derived from duck feathers or dissolved human hair.
It is present in the product, whose brand positioning implies traditional, careful, handcrafted preparation. Traditional tortilla makers didn't condition their dough with compounds from industrial feather processing facilities.
They didn't need to. The L-Cysteine is there because a 12 million per day operation demands chemical assistance that no family kitchen and no grandmother's recipe has ever called for.
Propionic acid is present as a mold inhibitor. Cellulose, wood pulp fiber, is present as a texture modifier.
These are industrial processing aids inside a product sold on the promise of cultural authenticity.
And certain varieties of Guerrero corn tortillas contain cellulose as well.
Meaning even the corn line doesn't consistently deliver the two-ingredient formula the original recipe actually requires. Here's a simple test you can do right now.
Open a fresh package of Guerrero flour tortillas and smell them before you cook anything.
The aroma is neutral, flat, faintly processed, almost nothing.
Fresh masa smells completely different. Earthy, slightly sour, layered.
The kind of aroma that comes directly from nixtamalization.
From soaking and cooking dried corn in an alkaline lime solution.
That smell is the product of a real ingredient being processed correctly.
It can't be replicated chemically. Guerrero doesn't produce it because the formula was never designed to. Hispanic families buying Guerrero because the packaging implies that someone at the brand genuinely cares.
About doing the tortilla right are buying from the world's largest tortilla industrial operation.
The care they're responding to is entirely in the branding.
The formula operates on efficiency standards that have no meaningful relationship to the cooking tradition the label invokes.
Cultural authenticity on the outside, industrial commodity chemistry on the inside.
At Gruma's scale, those two things have never been the same.
Number 1, low-carb tortillas.
The one positioned as the healthiest option in the entire tortilla aisle.
And the most chemically engineered product on this entire list.
This is the health tortilla, the one diabetics reach for because a standard flour tortilla carries too many carbohydrates. The one keto shoppers carefully calculate into their daily macros because net carbs determine whether the whole meal works.
And the low-carb number on the label does deliver in the narrowest, most specific way possible.
Here's exactly how they pull that number off. Low-carb tortillas achieve their carbohydrate count through a targeted formula strategy.
Oat fiber is added at high volume. Cellulose is added. Modified wheat starch is added.
These functional fiber compounds reduce the net carbohydrate measurement on the nutrition panel.
Because fiber offsets total carbohydrates in the net carb calculation, the number goes down.
That part is mathematically accurate. What that number doesn't show you is everything that had to be engineered into the formula.
To make it go down and to make the tortilla still function as a tortilla once it did.
A low-carb flour tortilla contains over 20 ingredients. 20 in a product whose original recipe requires 4.
Every single ingredient beyond those 4 exists to compensate for something the high fiber additives disrupted.
In the structure, the texture, the flexibility, or the flavor of a tortilla never designed to carry this level of fiber density.
Sodium stearoyl lactylate is present, an emulsifier derived from lactic acid and stearic acid, used to strengthen the dough and extend shelf life.
Datem is present, a second emulsifier. Distilled monoglycerides, a third. 3 completely separate emulsification systems in a single tortilla.
Because without all 3 running simultaneously, the formula physically cannot hold its shape.
3 different chemical systems just to keep the tortilla together.
That tells you something. Calcium propionate is also present.
The same mold inhibitor flagged in children's behavioral research.
The one that showed up in both Old El Paso and Azteca earlier on this list
is in the health tortilla, purchased specifically by diabetics and people managing metabolic health. People who are among the most deliberate, careful label readers in any grocery store. They're reading the net carbohydrate number. They're tracking fiber.
They're monitoring glycemic impact with more precision than almost any other shopper in that aisle.
They're not reading 14 ingredients further down the list to find the mold inhibitor sitting quietly at the bottom. The low-carb positioning implies something cleaner and more intentional than a standard flour tortilla.
The formula underneath is more heavily processed than every standard tortilla on this list,
including the budget store brand and the regional Midwest brand. The health signal is one number on one line of the nutrition panel. The formula producing that number is 20 ingredients of layered industrial engineering, assembled specifically to make that one line look favorable while the rest of the label tells a completely different story. Fewer carbohydrates, 20 ingredients, the health tortilla that's nutritionally less honest than the standard product it replaced, and sold directly to the consumer who's least likely to catch it because they stopped reading at the number that told them what they wanted to hear.
That's the full avoid list, and that's a lot to take in.
Here's some perspective before we move forward. Most of these brands aren't doing anything illegal.
They're operating within the rules of commercial food production. The ingredients are all on the label.
The issue is that most people don't know what those ingredients mean, where they come from, or what they signal about the formula underneath.
That's what this investigation is actually about. Now let's get to the part that matters, the 2 that passed.
5 brands running the same industrial chemistry under different packaging, different heritage stories, and different health claims. 2 kept the original formula intact, not because it was easier or cheaper, but because they understood something the others didn't. Best option number 2. Siete Family Foods, the grain-free option that removed every problematic compound without removing the tortilla from the table.
Siete didn't start as a brand strategy or a market opportunity. It started as a health necessity.
The woman developed autoimmune conditions in her early 20s that required the complete elimination of grains from her diet.
Her family's food culture was built around the tortilla. It sat at the center of every meal, every gathering, every ordinary evening at home.
Eliminating grains meant losing the food that held all of that together. The Garza family spent years developing a tortilla from cassava flour, coconut flour, and avocado oil, because no existing product met that need. What started as one family's solution became a brand, because other families across the country had the exact same problem and couldn't find an answer anywhere on the shelf.
Here's what's not in a siete tortilla. No L-Cysteine, no cellulose, no calcium propionate, no bleached flour, no enriched flour, no propionic acid.
None of the compounds that appeared across every brand on the avoid list. The ingredient list reads in under 10 seconds and makes complete sense in under 30.
That alone puts it in a different category from everything else covered today. Cassava flour is the primary base,